Hey guys, it's Jessica Juckstock here with more internet safety tips today. Last time we talked about your most important account on the internet, and today we are going to talk about how to better secure all of your accounts by creating secure passwords. I've got our guest trainer here with me today, Johnny, who just got up from his nap. He caught me a little bit by surprise. I was expecting to be able to do the video before he got up, so he's going to be a part of this today. So let's talk about first what is not a secure password. Some of this may be a little bit obvious to you guys, and then some of it may not be quite so obvious. You may not realize that you may be using some habits that are not very secure with your passwords. So one of the more obvious ones is that if you are reusing your passwords, then your password is not secure. And I know we talked about this one last time when I talked about keeping your email account secure. But basically you can go get your water. If your account in one place gets compromised, then hackers will try to use that same password that you used on one account on another account. So always make sure that you're using different passwords for each of your different websites so that you don't have, like, one compromise doesn't turn into multiple compromises. So the second thing second habit of creating passwords that is not very secure is using a simple dictionary word or certain variations of that dictionary word. So basically, if a word is something that you can look up in a dictionary, it's probably not very secure. As part of my training in computer security, some of the classes that we took required us to learn how to basically compromise accounts, because you better understand security when you have actually done some of the things on, like, fake accounts that hackers would do on real accounts. So one of the things we had to do, one of the things we had to do was a password hacking or password cracking lab, and we used the same kinds of tools that actual hackers would use to get into people's computer accounts. And these tools come complete with dictionaries of words to try against accounts. Some really common words, some not so common words, but huge dictionaries of words that people might use for their passwords. So don't use just a basic dictionary word. And another thing that you want to be careful not to do is to use really common substitutions, because there are, without like going into a lot of detail about how it works, these tools that hackers use to get into people's accounts come with like rules that they can apply to these dictionary words in order to figure out what a password is. So it may be a rule like substitute every I in a word or the first I in a word for a number one. So if you're just like swapping out I's for number ones, that's one of the first rules that a hacker is going to try to get into an account. And they also use really fast computers usually when they're doing this. So you may think, oh, well, it would take them a long time, like, to test my specific word with the way that I've changed out the letters and the numbers, but the computers tend to be pretty fast and they can hack into these things pretty quickly. So things like substituting a 1 for an I, substituting the @ sign for an A, making variations in your capitalization, adding a year to the end of a word, like if you want to put your birth year, like 1985 or like 85, or even if you just add like the number 1 or something like that. Those are all really super common variations on words that hackers use to try to crack into people's accounts. So you want to try to avoid that kind of thing. A better way to generate a secure password is, here are some ideas of what you could do. The more random, the better, basically, is what it comes down to. So one thing you could try doing is using a phrase and using a combination of capitalization, numbers, symbols. For example, maybe you would use like Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. and, you know, do some of those substitutions that I talked about. But since you have a longer phrase rather than just one dictionary word, you have a more secure password. It's longer, it's harder to guess. I will say that even better than just using a common phrase like that, because there are phrase dictionaries as well, is to make a weird change on that phrase. So maybe instead of saying, you know, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, you might say Humpty Dumpty sat on a bag of potato chips. Okay, so that would be like a weird variation on that phrase that would not be included in a dictionary. And then you would do like your number letter substitutions, the kinds of things that would make it a greater effort for someone to crack that password. We'll get one when we're done, okay? Okay, I gotta finish this video first. All right, another thing that I have seen a lot of people use who have maybe like a religious background is they'll take like a Bible verse and take like the first letter of every word in a particular Bible verse. So like a Psalm 23 verse, like the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You could take like the different letters, string them together. Again, you're probably going to want to do some kinds of substitutions in there, put some punctuation, kinds of things that are going to make it harder for someone to crack that password. Basically, like the simpler your password is, the more likely it is that someone is going to crack that password. What I would say is the absolute best way to create a secure password is to make it completely random. So use some sort of computer program to generate a completely random string of characters that includes letters, numbers, special characters, and make it as long as possible. So if the website you're creating a password for allows you to create like a 20-character password, use all 20 of those characters. The longer it is, the harder it's going to be for a hacker to crack that password. Now, once you start talking about like really long, complicated, random passwords, it gets really hard to remember all of those passwords, right? And that is why so many of us end up reusing passwords. So my suggestion here, and something that I have been doing for several years now, is to actually use a password manager. And if you have never used a password manager or you are not familiar with the concept of a password manager, these password managers keep track of your passwords for you. They're secure, we hope. They're supposed to be very secure, and then they will fill in your passwords for you as you are browsing the internet. So then all you have to remember is your password for your password manager, which again, you're going to want to use all of those tips to make it a very secure password, make it as secure as you possibly can. And then that's the only password that you ever have to remember. Now, one more tip for you that may be a little bit controversial, and some people may disagree with me, and that's okay. But if you have trouble remembering your very difficult password, I'm going to tell you that it is okay to write it down on one condition. You need to protect that paper that you wrote the password down on the same way you would protect a $100 bill, because that password is the key to all of your accounts, basically to your entire life on the internet. So if you protect that password the way you would protect a $100 bill, you're not going to just let someone randomly find that $100 bill like hiding under your computer or, in your desk drawer. Or taped to the wall. You are going to keep that safe, and you are going to make sure that you know where that $100 bill is. You are going to make sure that nobody steals that. So if you write down your password, you need to treat it the same way that you would treat a $100 bill. If you put all of these tips into practice, you will be well on your way to having a much more secure internet space for all of your accounts. So I would like you, please, in the comments, let me know if this was valuable to you. Let me know what tips you will be implementing, and let me know what was most helpful for you. And let me know if there are other topics that you would like me to cover in the future as well, because I would like to continue to do this to help to create a more secure space for people on the internet. So I hope you all have a great day, and I will chat with you all again later. Bye-bye.